All right, now I'm joined in studio by Dr. Ekuru Aukot, Advocate of the High Court. Thank you very much, sir, for making time this evening.
Thanks.
In this day and age, explain to me, why would anyone be still going about, cattle rustling, stealing each other's cows and goats in this day and age? Why would that even happen?
Okay, first of all, I think even you journalists need to learn the right terminology. There's really nothing called cattle rustling. What we have is a crime called robbery with violence in the context of pastoralist communities.
So this is not a practice that it's come from age-old traditions?
This was in the olden days, in the past, very, very much in the past. Today, pastoralism is a dying concept. So the way in which cattle rustling is being used in modern times, for me, it's an excuse to continue furthering the existence of two Kenyas. Because you say these pastoralists who are just, this is their practice, and therefore you say the rule of law does not apply. Which is why, honestly, if you were to apply the rule of law as we know it in Nairobi or Ekuru, in Mombasa and other towns, if you come and take away my property forcefully using a gun and even maim me and kill, that's a crime known to law. You are robbing me violently, you are killing, you are causing murder, you are causing manslaughter. So really, it is the failure of the rule of law and the failure of government in all parts of this country, which is why you can easily dismiss such criminal activities in the north of Kenya or in the pastoral communities and just call them cattle rustling.
So just to get your point, yeah. Every community obviously has a few cultures that they need to get away from, and everyone is doing that. Yeah. Are you saying that the communities living in northeastern are ready and willing to get away from this culture? Is it widely practiced or it's not?
These days, I don't think it's widely practiced. In any case, like I said, a lot of this pastoralism as a livelihood actually is dying. People need alternative ways of livelihood. And you see in the north of Kenya, in the absence of anything else, no economic development activities, no government initiatives to actually replace this livelihood. Therefore, people will resort to a way of violence. Sometimes this violence is brought about by way of competition for natural resources, water, pasture. It's not really, the tradition as we know it in the very past. As you know, right now, it's emerging that actually there are commercial interests. People lose large animals. Can you imagine driving a herd over, say, 10 cows? They're so noticeable. What about 200, 300 cows? Honestly, even if you wanted to follow in a day or 2 days, which is why the police reluctantly and deliberately refuse to follow some of these animals to bring them, because there are commercial interests. And this is not news. We've given this information for a long time to government operators. I mean,
so how do we get Dr. Ekuru? I want to understand how we get away from there, because from your perspective and from the rest of Kenyans, they say, well, this is a community that is stuck with tradition, and there's obviously government failures. How do we get away from this? This is obviously something that we need to get away from. How do we do that?
First of all, I think there is an opportunity right now in the new constitution to devolve all services, including policing itself and the rule of law. I mean, do you know, by the way, it's only in northern Kenya, in this pastoral community, that you don't see government institutions. Government is symbolic, and that's a fact. I mean, with killings going on, say, in Turkana, Pokot, and Samburu, you can't even try them in these counties because there is no high court. They don't have jurisdiction. So government needs to go to the people. You need to devolve services to the people, create institutions. But government also needs now to say, what are the opportunities that exist in parts of this country, yeah, that can replace this kind of practices. Secondly, I think government really needs to crack the whip on the people behind this. The political class, we know, is involved. Baragoi is a perfect case. Baragoi is nothing to do with just cattle rustling. It's actually politics at play. And you can see the trend. It always becomes pronounced during political electioneering time. Look at Tana Delta. It's not rocket science. It's politics at play. Pokot Turkana conflicts, oftentimes about, politicians inciting their people. So if government really wants to end this so-called culture, even if you were to allow it to use that term, I think then you need to crack the whip and get the real culprit to book. What I've seen today, yeah, the interdiction of Bijiwe is absolute crap. This is nonsense at the highest order. Does not achieve anything at all.
I have to let you go, but 30 seconds very quickly.
Yeah.
Do you feel there are two Kenyans. There's Kenya for Northeastern, then there's Kenya for the rest of Kenya. Do you feel that?
There have always been two Kenyas, the Kenya of the North and the other Kenya. And I hope this constitution will give us a solution when we actually devolve with the county government now, beginning to actually get a share of what the national cake is and devolve it to the people. And that way we can see policing, rule of law, institutions also flourishing in this region. Right. Otherwise, there are still two Kenyas, even in the way issues are being treated.
Well said.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Speaking to Dr. Ekuru Aukot, an advocate of the High Court, helping us to understand much better the issues around cattle rustling, which he says it's actually robbery with violence.